Welcome back, Blender fans and Star Trek fans. Today we are going to build the intercoolers, the Warp Intercoolers that go at the back end of the Warp engines. If you find these tutorials helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified when I post new tutorial videos. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to work on the basis for these Warp Intercoolers here, and they are pretty much the same as the control reactors, which are on the inside trough of the Warp engines. I'm going to show you some of these fabulous Chris Trice pictures again. You'll notice that the edges are rounded, but that there's like a flattish face here and kind of flattened in the front. Now these intercoolers have a rounded front piece that comes out here. Now, again, the edges are rounded. You never really got close enough to see any of this detail during the run of the original series. When we do this, these boxes on the sides of the Warp engines, you'll notice they're the same rounded waffle-like texture, or corrugated aluminum, or corrugated cardboard texture that we have on the end caps of the Warp engines. So you could do this with squares if you're never going to get close, but I'm going to do them rounded. This texture that's set in the center of these intercoolers looks like a repeating set of pyramids, and these little details are actually just square. They're not even rounded. They're long rectangles. And that same picture that we used as a reference here when we were doing the corrugated texture, you can see it's exactly the same here. It's just flat. All right. Okay, let's start up Blender and open up our tutorial. If you have your references set the same way I do, Alan has on the starboard view a nice reference for these intercoolers. Let's see here, Shift S, cursor to center, and I'm gonna add a sphere. So UV sphere. Let's see. This is too much. Let's see here. Normally you get 32 and 16 when you open this up. And you know what? For our purposes, that's probably close to fine. I'm going to make this 36. Hang on. So if I do 28, no, 18. All right, but I actually want that to be an odd number. Let's make that 19. Okay. Now, I don't know that I'll make this with the flattened ends. It looks like Alan has his intercoolers drawn as fairly rounded. That's certainly a lot easier. So I'm going to rotate my sphere 90 degrees. I'm going to grab that sphere, move it back here towards our reference. Scale it down, make sure you're on bounding box center. Like I said, Alan has his being fairly round, so I don't see a real need to change that. But what I am going to do is all right. Now here's why I wanted an odd numbered set going from top to bottom. is I want to grab half. So I tabbed into it, obviously. A to deselect all. B, I'm going to grab the front half, grab X, and then move this here. Okay. A to deselect. B, grab the rear half, grab X, and move to here. So now we've got a rounded pole as long as our intercooler. So I'm going to grab this Z and I'm going to move it down here. I don't like this either. All right, hang on. Let's delete this. I just don't like this. I'm going to do this entirely differently. All right. I'm sorry about this. So Shift A, and I'm going to add a circle. I just want a circle. 3. No, it's 32, so at the very least. Wonder how many, hang on. I guess 36, no. So I want it to look rounded. I'm going to go with 60. All right. Now, it's laying flat, so let's rotate this 90 degrees. Go to 1. Now I can see my circle. I'm going to grab this, move this up here. I'm going to scale it down, but I'm not going to scale it really down yet. What I am going to do, let's see if I need to rotate this any. I guess I do. I've got to vert right down through the center on each side. So since I did make this 36, I can rotate this, 5 degrees, right? And I should have a face in the center. Did I goof? I did goof. Somehow I deleted my circle here. Shift A, mesh. Forgive me for seeming a little disoriented today. 36, double that, 70, 72. Alright. 3, rotate 90, 1, grab, scale, tab. Alright, so now if I wanted to rotate that, if I rotate this 2.5 degrees, tab A, I should have a face in the center from left to right. And I have a face in the center from top to bottom. Now, so that's actually what I want. Tab, grab. Scale. All right, so now I'm going to make mine with kind of the flattish front. So I've scaled my 72 vertices circle smaller than the actual intercooler B. I'm going to grab half of this. Grab, actually, nope. Grab, Z. Move this up. A to deselect. B. Grab Z, pull it down. Okay, A to deselect. Tab. All right, so it's as wide as I want, and it's got that kind of flattish front. So grab X and put it kind of here where Alan would have had that. Now, I'm not going to move this all the way down. This is going to be weird. Hang on. I'm going to go to 3. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. I'm going to grab this Z and bring it down here. The front is aligned pretty close to where I want it. I'm going to go 7. I'm going to look at this from the top. All right, so tab into it. Now, I want to grab the rear half. So B, grab the rear half of the verts, go to 1, and I want to pull that rear half of the verts back to here. So grab X and move it to here. All right, something like that. So now, if I go to 7, you'll see I've got this weird, almost rectangular, really similar to the rectangular windows that we were making, only there are some more verts to make it a little smoother. All right, so I want to select all of these, and before I go any further, actually tab out, Shift, Alt, Control, C. I want origin to geometry for right now, so it's nice and centered. Tab into it. All of my verts are selected. E, Z, and I'm going to extend it to here. All right. Now, I'm going to bring in my 3D cursor. Shift A, whoops, Shift S, cursor to selected. And what I really want is I want my cursor here, I think. So that should actually still be centered to my object. It is. What I want to do is I want to spin this. So we're going to, where are you? Right here. Spin. But we want it in the other direction. So negative 90. There's 9 steps there, which is okay. But that's not actually working out the way I want. Alright, let me tab, grab X. Hang on. What if I Shift C, origin to geometry, rotate 180. Now, okay, they're all selected. E, Z, I think what we did before, but this time if I hit spin, it should go in the right direction. Ah, and it does. All right, now the center here. Ah. Okay, so I want the center to be different. Y I'm going to leave alone. Z I'm going to bring down. Okay. All right, now that's interesting. We can play with this a little more. So basically I do want that. Move my X a little bit. You know what? For this, that's not too shabby. Wonder if I should do these separately. I guess I should. All right, so I'm gonna, sorry guys. I do apologize. I'm going to wind up using something that a couple of viewers have recommended. I'm going to get rid of some edges here. So this edge and this edge, I'm going to delete those two edges. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn these into separate objects. So B, I'm going to grab this, Shift D, select separate by selection. Okay, so now I've got one that's half and one that's whole. So I'm going to grab this whole one here. I'm going to delete those verts. So now I've got two objects, this inside and the outside. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and make them match these curves here, kind of. So I'm going to, I've got this rear set. I'm going to select all the verts for it. E to extrude, Z in the Z direction. I want to bring it here to kind of where that curve starts. I'm going to do my spin. I'm going to adjust my X, whoops, until it pulls it back a little bit. And I'm going to bring my Z down. And that's actually not too bad. It's got the curve that I want. I can increase the number of segments. 10 is nice, but when we get out here, it's going to be slightly larger. So I'm going to crank this up to, well, 12 isn't bad. To 12, and we're going to leave it. I'm going to grab this front one. Select all the verts. E to extrude in the Z direction. I'm going to bring it up to here where this curve starts. I'm going to spin this. Okay, so we're going to bring down the X direction. Oops. I guess we're going to increase the X. That's odd. That spin's not bad, but not great. Whoops. Y I want to leave alone. So, spin. X and Z. X and Z. Okay. And I need this to be 12. It is 12. All right, so I've got two curves with 12 facets here, right? We're going to leave that. Oh, now we're going to join these. Control J. And these are now one object. Sorry, these are now one object. I know it doesn't look like it. It looks like two, but since they've been joined, all right. Now, we could use the automatic fill, but you know what? I really like doing things by hand, so I'm going to grab. Whoops. These 4 verts. I'm going to make a face, right? These 4 verts. Make a face. And then do it for everything kind of in between. I don't know how that's going to work out here, though. I guess it'll work. All right, well, there is a fill option that you can use in Blender. But for right now, whoops, Control Z, I'm going to make stupid mistakes by hand. Whee! All right, actually, hang on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to 7. I'm going to go to Z, make it transparent. I'm going to hide, so B to select half of this. I'm going to hide it, H, go back to solid. And this way, at least I can't pick stuff on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, make a face. 1, 2, 3, 4, make a face. And so on. All right. I'm going to come back when I have finished this side. And the last face for this one. All right, cool. A. Go to 7. Select everything. I think it's Control H? No. Alt H. There we go. Z. Now, I'm going to hide the front now. So B, grab the front. H. And going to do the same to the other side. So Z, grab 4 verts and make a face, and then fill all this up. Okay, so finished making faces here. 7, A, Alt H, 1. All right. So now, deselect. The interesting thing is, of course, this top is not aligning with the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick all these verts along this front here. So select one, Alt, pick the next vert, and it should outline everything it does. I'm going to go to 1. I'm going to go E to extrude, X in the X direction. And I want to move it just past here. Because now I'm going to scale this in the X direction and hit 0. Left mouse click. All right, so now if I tab out and tell it to shade smooth and back off a little bit, that actually looks very much like the pictures we were seeing before. If you don't want it to be that sharply demarcated, you know, go with a larger sphere. Don't make it as small as I made it, but I'm pretty happy with that. Tap into it, and actually let's grab X and I want to just move it here. So E, X, move this down here, and then E, X, and I'm going to move it right to where this begins for our backspin. Now, I figure this will be just as fun, A, Z, as before, so I'm going to grab B, grab these lower verts, and I'm going to spin. Wow, that's huge. Okay, so I certainly don't want that. There we go. Well, this is actually manageable. So negative 6.212 is too much. Negative 6.222 is too much in the other direction. What if I take this? Just delete that. 6.220 and 3.02. Oh, actually, you know what? That's fine because this bottom part is straight. So I'm going to extrude that in a minute. All right, so cool. We're going to leave that A. Now I'm going to go up here, B, and I'm going to grab these, and I'm also going to spin it. Spin and change these till we get something similar to what we want. If I'd have done this ahead of time, I could have just given you some numbers. Oops. Okay, so that's actually not too shabby. I have an idea. Maybe about like that. All right, what I'm going to do I like that a lot, but it doesn't go far enough back. I thought I could do that with the Z, but that takes me up and down. X, Y's got to be wrong. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. So I like that, but this whole thing has to go out to the in the X direction. All right, so going to B. I'm going to grab these verts, or better yet, C, and grab all these verts across the top, but not this set. So forward of that set. I'm going to scale X. No, hang on. Deselect. I want to grab. Here's the thing. Where do I want to extend this from? Either up here or in the middle here. So let's try in the middle. So I'm going to grab these verts here on each side, right? Both top and bottom. Shift S. Cursor to selected, and change this from bounding box to 3D cursor, A. I'm going to grab all of these verts again, not any of the ones on the bottom, and not this row of verts here. So let's see if we change it for, okay, so scale X and pull it. Hot dog, that is almost perfect. I think I scaled it a little too much. Scale X, pull it in. That isn't bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, cool. A to deselect. Z, let's take a look at this tab out. You know what? It's almost perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in the faces just like we were doing on the other side. I'm going to go transparent. I'm going to hide. I'm going to B, select this half. H to hide it. Z. All right, cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill in these faces. So grab 4 verts and make a face and do that all the way down here and come back when you're done. Okay, and we are about to finish up on this one side. Face, A, tab, go to side 1, and this is starting to look right. Okay, I'm going to go back up to 7, tab, select all, Alt H, bring it back, Z, make it transparent, A, deselect, and I'm going to hide the front, so B and H, Z, and swing around to the other side. And I want you to fill in these faces as well. Shift, select, shift right mouse click, any four, hit F for face, and come back when you've finished. Okay, and face. Okay, cool. So 7, AA to select all, Alt H. They're all selected. Tab out, and it's not bad. We've just got to finish this this bottom bit. So tab into it, deselect all. I'm going to look at it from underneath, and I'm going to grab one vert on the edge, on the bottom here. Might be easier to see it if I just did that. And then I'm going to Alt and right mouse click on the next vert, and it will select all of them around the front. All right, so now that we've got this ring of verts selected, we're going to E extrude, Z in the Z direction, and just pull it down a little bit. Now I want to scale Z 0. I'm going to grab Z and move them down to right here. Then I'm going to E extrude Z in the Z direction. And what the heck, make them just a little longer than we need. A to deselect, tab out of it, and holy cow, we've got exactly the shape I wanted. All right, very nice. We're going to wind up with 4 of those in the end. But until then, we're also going to have to add some details. Some of these just cubes that we will extend and make fairly lengthy. Sorry about the time jump there. My wife brought me a really excellent chicken parmesan for lunch. Oh, delightful. All right, so now we've got the basic outline done. We can certainly line up like it's... well, hang on, let's look at Chris Trice's pictures again. All right, my mistake. I couldn't find the pictures that I had in my head. So instead I'm going to use this picture from Gary Kerr. There seems to be 1, 2 going up the side of these squares, 1 in the center, and then 2 going down the other side. So that should mean that there's a grand total of 5. All right, so I'm going to Shift A. Well, actually, tell you what. Tab Z. I'm going to grab from B to B. Shift S. Cursor to selected such. Put it right in the middle. Actually, you know what I should have done was I should have put it up top. But whatever, this is close enough. All right, tab out, A to deselect, and Shift A. We're going to add a cube. Of course, that's far too large. Scale it down, making sure that you're in bounding box center. And these are not very large at all. If I go to Z, yeah, we can see that our top is pretty much the top, and these only go that high above. So grab Z, place that pretty much in the center, scale, whoops, bounding box center, scale. All right. So if I zoom in, Z pretty much sits right on the top of my object. Tab A to deselect all. What I want to do is I want to grab the front half, so B, grab the front half, G, X, move this down to here. A to deselect, B to grab the back half, grab X, hey, grab X. Alright, there we go. Now we've got the length that we want, and it's roughly in the position that we want. Yeah, that's actually pretty decent. We can leave that. I'm going to go to 3. And like we had in that picture, you can see that they're fairly evenly spaced out. 1 on the side, 1 in the middle, middle of the curve, and then one up top. So Z. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Shift D, rotate. Nope. Hey, what? It might be handy having that 3D cursor. Rotate -90. All right, that's actually too far, I do believe. Yeah, that's too far. So we're gonna grab Z, move that up to where it. Oh yeah, look at that. It lines up nicely. 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Y and move that in. Okay, cool. And we need one more. Shift D. Rotate 45. Whoops. Rotate -45. Actually, let's just rotate right about there, I should imagine. It's kind of halfway. Grab, move it like this. Now I'm going to take it back to bounding box center, because this is not a perfect circle that we are on. Rotate and get it to be kind of even. Z. Alright, cool. Now if I hit 5 and go into perspective mode, that actually looks good, and we want to duplicate that on the other side. Alright, so I'm going to grab this one and this one. I have an idea. I've selected an edge on both sides. Shift S, cursor to selected, should put it right in the middle. It is. A to deselect everything. I want to grab this and this, and I think I'm going to Control J, turn them into a single object. Now, Shift Control Alt C, origin to geometry, should place it right in the middle. And now, that's the bounding box center. Let's make it 3D cursor. Go to array modifier, and if I hit mirror, oh, I know what I forgot. Hang on. What is that? Hang on. I'm having a rough time. I think it's Control A. Yeah, to normalize location, Control A. Normalize rotation, Control A. Normalize scale. Now let's try a mirror modifier. And Y. Alright, cool. Go to Z, and now we've got 5 of them in place. And it fits Alan's drawing pretty well. Alright, so let's see. Let's do what we normally do here. So Tab A to select everything, remove doubles. There are none. Mesh, normals, recalculate outside. Tab Z. That did make a difference. Okay. Let's go to our materials. We're going to make it hull gray. Then we're going to grab these and make it hull gray. And this one in the middle and make that hull gray. I'm trying to decide if there's any reason why I shouldn't join these right now. I can't think of any. So if I grab these four in the middle and Control J, now they are, whoops, I don't want to do that yet because, Eric, why? Because you haven't applied your mirror modifier yet. So I'm going to apply. Okay, cool. Now I can grab that center as well and Control J. Now those are all one object, but I want to grab this and shift, click on my 5 cubes and Control J. Now they are all one object. All right, cool. What's left is to make the washboard that runs inside here. So, Shift A, and we're going to use another cube. Of course, that's far too large. Scale that down. Bounding box center. Scale. Z. Grab this and move it over here. Alright, now, if we look again, can we see it here? Not really. Let me go get another image. Alright, as you can see on this image, towards the center here, we've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going from, of these pyramids going from top to bottom. Alright, so now, you know, our cube doesn't look like a pyramid yet, but what I want is, if I have one of these where I could have 6 of them going from top to bottom, make it in the opposite direction. Alright, so that's still too large. I'm going to scale this down, but not too much smaller. Okay, and grab Z, and that'll make 6 from top to bottom. Okay, cool. Now get rid of our array modifier, because we're nowhere near done yet. I'm going to grab this in the Z direction, move it down. All right, here's why. Ooh, I've never done it like this before. I have an idea. All right, well, whatever. If I tab into this, and you see it's a cube, which is fine. What I really want to do is I want to do Control R and split the middle of this cube running front to back. Okay, cool. A. Now, if I go to 1 again, Z, and I grab these 4 verts, right? Because of the center, when I scale this down, something like that, it scales down pretty well. Z. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to pick the 4 verts on the back as well. I could do this with a face, but I like verts. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've grabbed front and back. I'm going to scale this down like that. And if I go to Z now and take a look, I've got kind of a pyramid shape. But what I want to do is I want to scale Y and make them come out a little more. Okay, so Z, let's take a look at that. That's nice. All right, cool. A to deselect. Now, tab. So I've got my cubic object here. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it Z, grab X. And I'm going to move it so that it's beyond inside this thing here. Cool. And I'm going to go to that array modifier again, array. And I've got two objects and it's offsetting in the correct direction. So 27, so let's try 75. Still need some more. Let's try 100. 100 may be just a little too many. Okay. So now that's good. And let's add another array modifier. And we're going to want a count of 6. But we want it going, whoops, just 1 in the Z direction. Ah, -1. -1. Okay, so 6 actually isn't going to cut it up front. So we're going to make it 7 and 8. All right, cool. So now, if we tab, whoops, I'm sorry, not tab. Let's go to Z and take a look at this. That's gorgeous. So we're going to just center it up a little more. So I'm going to grab X. And that's just flippin' gorgeous. All right. So I'm going to apply and apply. So now I've got on both sides, I've got that grid texture that looks like a bunch of little pyramids. And they're going from front to back, filling the inside of our intercooler. And I've got that top detail. If I was to add a color to this, I'd want a light gray, but you know what? I'm just going to leave it for now. Because we want this, I do believe we want this to be a different color than this. So I'm not going to join them. I'm just going to leave it in place, and we're going to add this last piece in the front. Alan has this being a little too square. As you can see in Chris Trice's picture, it's actually kind of thick and fairly roundish. So, whoops. Okay, so I've deselected everything, and I want to add how do you want to do this? I want to add a sphere, but a fairly low poly sphere. Shift A, mesh, icosphere. You know what? 32 is the normal, but you know what? I'm going to leave it as 36. 36 is fine for what we're going to do. All right, so cool. Let's make that smooth and tab into it. Okay, cool. Now, actually tab out. Bounding box center, good, scale, and bring it down. Now, here's the thing. Grab. I want this to be scaled to the width. So, scale. Grab. And that's about right. That looks pretty good. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of 3/4 of this sphere. Here's why. So let's grab Z, bring this down to here. Tab, Z to make it transparent, A to deselect. I want to keep the center set of faces, so I'm going to grab everything below that second middle line there, and X to delete vertices. All right, now I want to grab everything in back of this. So B, X to delete vertices, and we've still got some up top. If I hit 7 and zoom in on this, right, all we need to do is select a few little verts here, 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 and X. Don't grab the center one. You want to leave so that it looks like a half of a hemisphere, and it looks like a quarter of a hemisphere here. Z to go transparent. B, grab the bottom verts, grab G, Z direction, and bring it down. I'm actually going to bring it down a little lower. All right, cool. A to deselect. Now, go back here, grab a vert, Alt, I'm sorry, not Alt. Yes, Alt, not X. And grab the next vert, and it'll grab all the lines around that lip, right? Let's go to 1. And that's E in the X direction, and extrude and take it back here inside our intercooler. A to deselect, tab. Nice. We're going to grab a material. We're going to grab the hull gray. All right, cool. So now you could join this and this. There's no reason why not to. I'm not going to for the moment, because I'm probably going to use my intercooler as the basis for my the control rods inside the warp pylons. So all these details are fine. It's just this would have to be separate and this would have to be separate. So I'm going to grab this, shift, right mouse click, right mouse click. All right, so I've got everything selected here. And I'm going to kind of move this in place. So grab, move it down. All right, so it's almost there. Basically what I want to do is I want to bring this whole thing to the center of my warp engine. And of course it's not. It's in the correct spot from top to bottom kind of. So I'm going to grab Y and move this right about here. All right. So this is this. Which one is the center line? Ah, okay. So I'm going to grab Y, and that's fairly well centered. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to grab my warp engine, tab into it, and I want to grab something right in the center of this area. So I'm going to go B and just pick 2 verts, one on top, one on bottom. Shift S, cursor to selected. So now 1, it's right in the center. 7, it's right in the center. Okay, cool. A to deselect everything. Tab out, because I really don't want the warp engine now. What I want is I want everything that we have made. So grab the grid, the intercooler piece, and the front piece. Okay, that didn't work out well. Okay, so the front piece, the intercooler, and the waffle thing. Let's go Z, make sure that that all looks good. It does. I'm going to go to 3, and I'm going to change this to 3D cursor. All right. So if I shift D, I've got a duplicate of all of that. And if I wonder how much we need to rotate this. So rotate 45. Well, yes. Rotate negative 45. Okay, so that's cool. It's in the right spot, but it's down too far. Okay, so Control Z. X, you know what, I'm going to delete that. Let's go to 1. I'm going to grab this, this, and this. Okay, so grab Z and lift up. Ah, I know what it is. It's not angled correctly. All right, so bounding box center. And what we want is we want this kind of like that. Grab Z, because we want this flat section and this flat section to kind of just intersect the hull. So grab Z, and that's better. All right, 3, Shift D, rotate 45. Whoops, nope. We don't want bounding box center anymore. We want 3D cursor. Rotate -45. Nice. And that looks pretty good. So if we do grab this, shift click, 3, rotate 45. Great. A to deselect. And we've now got a warp engine that has intercoolers in the back. All right. I want you to save everything. File, save. And when we come back, we're going to make the something really easy. We're going to make the boxes that go on both sides of the warp engines. And then the last thing we'll construct for this section will be all the pieces that fit in the trough. Before we finish, we will have to cut in 3 divots in the very front and make those leather flaps with snaps that used to hold the front of the warp engines on before we call it quits with the structural modeling on the outside. We'll also have to make a warp dome for the blades, which we can texture, or we can make out of a hemisphere, and we'll have to make the Christmas tree lights that go inside before we start to texture everything. So believe it or not, we're very close to being done. Great job if you've kept up so far, and I will see you next tutorial.